Good morning. This is Dan McGrew with iT2. We are very, very excited today to have a special guest, and Chad McGlothlin from SAP joining us. You're going to hear today some great information about BTP. So thank you very much for joining us today, Chad. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dan. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much. I know how busy you are. Tell us a little bit about your background, sir, and what you're up to at SAP, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the industry itself for about 23 years. I started out at Business Objects in California whenever it was Business Objects and Cognos and Brio and MicroStrategy. So I've been around the game for quite a while. I left Business Objects and went to Cognos in a post-sales capacity, actually. And from there, kind of took a break from this industry and went and worked for a customer. I was a director of business systems at a customer in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And missed it so much that I came flying back as soon as IBM had acquired Cognos. I worked there for a while and then kind of wanted to redefine myself and get out of the analytics space. I went into machine learning and artificial intelligence whenever Watson was formed, and I covered the Middle East, North Africa, Eastern Europe, and South America. So got a chance to travel the world and evangelize, and came to SAP after IBM, and I was a solution advisor for the better part of my career here. I've been here 7 years now, and I've gone into a few short stints as management roles, and I've been selling now for 2 years and just absolutely phenomenally love it. SAP, just such a wonderful company to work for.
Well, you've not only been selling it for a couple of years, but if I understand correctly, you've been the leader in the sales last few quarters. Isn't that right?
I have had some success in this new role. I was the BTP account executive for mid-market in North America last year.
Well, congratulations. And most importantly, I know who's going to be listening to this. They're going to get certainly some good information from you. So let's get started. So Mike, let me just first start out by asking you, would you explain BTP? There's going to be some folks that do not know its functionality and its capabilities. Can you give us an overview of BTP, please?
Sure. Oh, no, absolutely. And it's a good question because you think of SAP as an ERP company for the past 54 years. Why does SAP have a platform as a service? And if you break it down at its root, BTP is essentially a cloud-based toolkit for businesses that is specifically designed to work well with other SAP products. And it combines a bunch of different services under one roof that helps companies innovate and transform their operations. And if you kind of break it down, BTP is broad, BTP is very deep. So I like to break it into pillars, and we have 5 pillars in BTP. 4 pillars, sorry. The first pillar is data and analytics. And if you know about SAP and their analytics journey, if you think all the way back to Beck's Business Explorer, which was the UI, the front end of analytics for BW, SAP Business Warehouse. And SAP acquired Business Objects, I guess about 15 years ago, and endeavored into the enterprise analytics space. Business Objects had just acquired Crystal. So at this point, SAP had Business Objects, Crystal, and Business Explorer. Of recent, and as we think about cloud technologies and augmented analytics and using AI to analyze your data, SAP developed what we call SAP Analytics Cloud, or SAC. And now in that pillar, in this data and analytics pillar, we have kind of a hybrid analytics strategy, all the while getting the functionality out of the previous tools into SAC. But now we have Business Objects for your enterprise reporting, and then we have SAC for your augmented analytics. Subsequently, in that pillar, we also have a federated layer. We have a data fabric, which is called Data Sphere. And it sits really in an SAP ecosystem in between our core, or S4, and SAC. And the benefit to that with all of the line of business applications at SAP is that we have pre-built information, pre-built content that comes with that. So if you're looking at it linearly, S4, Data Sphere, and SAC, S4 being your core, Data Sphere being your federation layer, and SAC being your analytics layer, On both sides of DataSphere, you have pre-built content. So coming from S4, you have pre-built data models. You have native connectivity, which really gives you that contextual metadata. And even more so on the other side, on the SAC side, it comes with a bunch of pre-built analytics. So if you think about it, Ralph Kimball methodology back from the 2000s, you'd have to go in, you'd have to organize the data, you'd have to build a data warehouse, you'd have to build a data mart. Then you have to go in, you have to build metadata against that, all the while worrying about the refresh dates, the refresh of that data and such. SAP has streamlined that in that ecosystem that I refer to, S4, DataSphere, and SAC. So really inside of that data and analytics pillar, SAP is really honing in the lack of configuration that our customers need. The second pillar, I think, is the most important pillar that I've seen in my career at SAP, and that's the application development and integration. And the integration piece there is really key because it's just a common function. It's foundational across all companies. You have to do process integration. And it really allows businesses to build custom applications and extend specific to their needs and also integrate them seamlessly with SAP and non-SAP systems. So that is really the glue, the fabric, the foundation of BTP is this middleware solution. I have experienced a ton of success in competitive situations against MuleSoft and Boomi. In an SAP ecosystem, they just cannot compete with our integration middleware platform. The third piece, which is all over the news today and has everyone up in a stir, is the intelligent technologies. So generative AI, low code, no code application development, all of these things fall in that intelligent technology pillar. And really BTP incorporates AI and machine learning capabilities to help our customers automate tasks, improve their efficiency, and then really gain a competitive edge there. And fourth and finally, this database and data management pillar. And this really gives our customers a platform for secure storage, management, and access to business data in the cloud. So kind of, just those four pillars by itself, we could talk for hours about each one of them. So data and analytics being the first one, application development integration being the second one, the intelligent technologies being the third pillar, and then finally the database and data management. If you think about it overall, SAP BTP empowers our customers to personalize their experience because it's impossible for SAP to go out and build an ERP platform for every vertical and every line of business across the world. So BTP allows our customers to extend and integrate our core to be more like their business platform. Second, it helps to build and deploy applications, which is really key to digitization and moving with the rapid pace of the market right now. Third, really operating with confidence, knowing that single source of the truth. And then finally, embracing innovation because it changes daily.
Absolutely. And one question that we get asked quite a bit, because as a consulting company, we're involved in a lot of BTP work. But we get asked this question quite a bit. And so obviously that means there's people that don't know. What do you have to have from an SAP perspective to purchase BTP? What do you have to be on currently, or are there limitations?
Absolutely nothing. BTP is not dependent on the SAP ecosystem. If you were a competitor of ours with your ERP platform, you can still use BTP to do all of the same things that we just talked about. Now, obviously, it's better in an SAP ecosystem because 90% of the R&D that we put into it is built for SAP products. So Concur, SuccessFactors, Ariba, Fieldglass, and the core. But absolutely agnostic, BTP could be its own company if it needed to be.
Great. Do you have a few examples of success stories where maybe the customer was hesitant about taking BTP on, and after the fact they said, "Oh my gosh, we had no idea that it's just been phenomenal for us"? Do you have any stories like that?
It's a good question because whenever BTP first came out, a lot of the times that we would go in and present, they'll be like, "Oh, we didn't know SAP did this. We didn't know you had a platform as a service. We surely didn't know you had a development platform. We didn't know you did RPA." In a couple of those instances, and I think of BTP in two ways: innovative and foundational. And I'll talk about the innovative piece first, because I was at a chemical company in the Northeast, and they had a three-way match process where they're trying to match their invoices with the payments. And they had 3 full-time employees managing and monitoring an email box. So whenever these payments would come in, one of the 3 would take that payment, they would manually key it into their system, and then they would process that payment. And that's just a laborious task for 3 people that made $50,000 to $80,000 a year. It's just not real time effective. We used our SAP Build process automation, which is an acquisition SAP made 4 years ago of Contextor, which was one of the 4 major RPA players. And we rolled it into our code set. So now we have SAP Build process automation. And using SAP Build process automation, we built a bot that monitored that email box using our artificial intelligence, which is called document information extraction. It would take that payment. So we built the bot would monitor the box, the email box, the payment will come in, the bot would pick that payment up, and it would extract the information out of it, load it into the system. A side benefit is enriching the data that they didn't have about that customer. And based off of the thresholds that we put on that bot, whether it was a multi-invoice payment, if it was a short pay, whatever the use case was, then we could kick out the exceptions. And we made a 10% exception rule. We brought down those 3 FTEs to a half of an FTE, which is just a phenomenal increase in productivity, and allow those other 2 FTEs to move on to more meaningful tasks. That for me is the innovative part of BTP, because you can fundamentally transform. And the purpose here is not to replace people in their jobs. It's to allow a company to be more effective in placing people in more meaningful tasks. The foundational one, I have a customer in Texas, thinking about integration suite and what I was talking about before. They were doing 20 million messages a month. And they were paying a lot of money with one of the competitors. And we actually went in and did a proposal to use our integration suite. And they are off and running in BTP. They didn't know that we had that. They're doing a project in advanced event mesh now, doing one with DataSphere, RPA, even doing some EDI testing. So a company that had no clue what BTP was, we got them in with integration. They saw all of the other components that they could use, and they were just off and running.
That's awesome. So from the perspective, obviously the technology provides the customer the ability to do things that maybe they could do, but it's going to take a lot longer. Do you have any metrics by chance off the top of your head that would say, by utilizing BTP, a customer can actually put money to the bottom line and save dollars based on how they've been doing previously?
Only the customers that I've experienced successes with, in those 2 use cases that I was talking about. You could extrapolate, 3 people making $80,000 a year and bringing that down to one $40,000 person. So an immediate benefit there. And just understanding the money the second, the foundational use case with integration, I think that they reduced their middleware run rate probably down to 50% of what they were doing before. It's just all over the place, Dan, because there's so many different components in BTP, and there's so many different ways that we meter BTP. I will say that one of the beautiful things about what SAP is doing with BTP is we have a cloud consumption model, which is not anything new to the market, but SAP is embracing it. So with anything in BTP, you have a cloud contract, and you have full trade rights against all of the services underneath that umbrella. So one contract, you don't have to go back to the well and keep going back and try to renegotiate the contract. You can just keep adding credits like a prepaid credit card. So it's a very effective method contractually, which saves a lot of time and money administratively for these companies. And I have to tell you, the C-levels, they just absolutely love it.
Yeah. But back to my question, let me ask you a little bit differently. If we're going to look at the combined, you take vendors that can do all of the things that BTP does. All right, you've got one thing over here with BTP, and you have others over here. Wouldn't the benefit of less vendors, less integrations, wouldn't that be beneficial to a customer?
It is, absolutely. And that was kind of where I was alluding to with the single contract, because you don't have you're running a concurrent cycle for that single license. And again, I kind of glanced over the trade rights, but to have 66 to 90 services that you can use and just turn them off and say, I don't want to use this right now, that is absolutely huge when you think about, contract negotiations and getting the most out of your contracts with your vendors. But absolutely, yes.
Tell me a little bit about your thoughts regarding, Grow and Rise are a big deal right now, but talk about, say, for example, BTP with Rise and where, specifically you see the real lift.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful question, because we talk about BTP as this island that helps our customers innovate and extend their business processes. But SAP has a specific plan in mind with Rise and Grow, which are packages that we offer our customers that increase the level of success that they have. We've had S4 around for a while, S4 in the cloud, but the Rise package and the Grow package really hones in on the success after the sale. So if you think about it, if we back up just a little bit, you think about the clean core index, and that's a methodology that SAP has put in place for our customers coming off of HEC or coming off of ECC. And we have customers that have over-architected the core or ERP system to fit their business model. And the prospect of them migrating to a cloud solution is something that's not unbearable, but it's higher than they probably would want to take on at one time. With the clean core index, it's a methodology that SAP works with our customers and takes those customizations, user exits, any ABAP code, any of those things, and moves them out into BTP, which cleans the core and brings the core back to its vanilla state. Then the migration is easier from A to B, from ECC to S4, which makes it a lot more palatable for our customers. And as SAP is moving our customers from ECC or HEC into S4 in the cloud, into these Rise and Grow packages, you think of BTP there as a supercharger and offering for migrating to the cloud and transforming their business processes. So if you think about a couple of different benefits in a Rise scenario or a Grow scenario, it's an innovation engine. And, whenever COVID hit, this digitization of business just happened at an accelerated and rapid pace. Rise with SAP provides a solid foundation, but BTP empowers them to go beyond. They can build custom applications, extensions that are tailored to their specific needs, and fostering innovation or creating a competitive edge for that customer. The second one probably be deeper integration. And I know I hone in a lot on integration, but our middleware solution is second to none. But in this pillar that we're talking about, BTP excels at connecting various applications and data sources, SAP and non-SAP alike. The seamless integration between your existing SAP solutions and any custom apps built on BTP, that really ensures that everything works together smoothly within the Rise and SAP framework. Inside of that middleware package that we're talking about, SAP provides over 3,500 pre-built integration flows between SAP and non-SAP software. SAP provides over 3,500 pre-built APIs between SAP and non-SAP software. So the investment in BTP from a Rise perspective just gives you, acceleration out of the gate. And if I think of like a third benefit, you think of data-driven decisions. Our robust analytics empower customers to extract that valuable information out of their data. It allows them to make informed decisions about real-time information. We even have an FP&A module in this in SAC that lets you do collaborative forecasting and working with your core. So that's kind of like a third benefit of it. And I guess finally, flexibility and scalability. That is huge for customers. We talked about trade rights against some certain services earlier. BTP offers this flexible platform that really adapts to the evolving needs, because as you know, Dan, business is just changing at a breakneck speed right now. And really, as the business grows, you can scale with BTP. It's not like you have to keep adding to it. You're just growing. It's kind of elastic if you think about it from that perspective. So, really faster time to value, enhanced security. BTP really is the glue for Rise and Grow for our customers.
I was talking to Rob Ani not too long ago, and he was talking about, with Grow, a customer could be doing, $40-50 million a year right now, and using the Grow platform solution, they could grow to, 500 million, $1 billion without having to go through the process of upgrades and enhancement packs and different, servers and all that. And if they happen to be using BTP, wouldn't you agree that just enables them to have the tools necessary to get real-time data analytics reporting that they can't get today, that would make a huge difference in decision-making for the C-level executives and management?
Yeah, 100%. And I talked about my history in my career. I've been a technical person. I was in pre-sales for 90% of my career. And for me, watching, I remember when I was at IBM and watching Conversation came out, which was one of the first conversation solutions that was out there. We had to hard code everything into that. And that was laborious. It was challenging. There was error prone. And we, as all technologies, whether it was the evolution of SQL or the evolution of XML, the evolution of these technologies lends itself to a low code, no code development environment. And I used to think that was such a hokey marketing term. But if you can reduce the tech set of the person that's developing applications and increase the functionality by providing a UI for low code, no code application development, then you are meeting in the middle. You don't have to have, you have these supersets of developers that are developing this stuff, hard coding this stuff in. And that's exactly what you're talking about. The time to deployment and the time to innovation is so much faster whenever the skill set doesn't have to be this, master coder to build those out. So absolutely, I think that those two things go hand in hand, Dan. What you're referring to is the time to value, the faster time to value.
Yeah. And then I think, the other thing that we run into, which is true for any software implementation or acquisition or purchase, whatever, is that they've got to go through the change management. And we see that in just about most every customer, that there's challenges there to is all the C-level, all the lieutenants, all management, are they all on the same page? Are they getting internal adoption? The thing that's so beautiful to me about BTP is this is something that once they see it, we had a circumstance recently where like, no. And then we were involved in a demo and they saw it and they were like, oh, I get it. And it's sort of like, this thing it's to me, it would even help with the change management part, because there's not a lot to not buy into, is there?
There isn't. And one of the things that we never even talk about is the accelerated maturation of these IT departments. Because if it were not for a fast moving platform like this, I think that we would still be in the 1990s, 2000s realm, where you had a network operations center and somebody, working in the 30-degree temperature in there, maintaining updates on these servers. Those people can now go work on more meaningful business-minded projects. So really the maturation factor, the acceleration of mature IT organizations, for me at least, I see it all the time. You go in and you're like, how in the heck do you guys even do business? And 6 months later after BTP, you're like, wow, you're world class now.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, Chad, thank you so much for your time. I love listening to you. You're such a wealth of information. And I know that any of the possible prospects are going to appreciate all this intel today. So thank you very much. This is Dan McGrew with iT2, another podcast talking SAP. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.